As you guys probably know, I have carried a SIG P365 for a long time. But I'm starting to doubt whether that is the correct choice for my EDC. The P365 has been perfectly reliable, and it's a great gun. But I'm starting to think that maybe the P365 XL or even the X Macro is what I should be carrying, especially in wintertime when you're generally wearing a little bit more clothing. It's easier to conceal something bigger. And I just feel like I feel confident or more confident with a bigger handgun. But today, I wanted to come out here and try out, again, just the standard tiny P365 I've been carrying to maybe make a decision on whether I should change something up about my EDC or not. So that's what we're doing today. Welcome back to Sawtooth Tactical. I've been carrying this Sig Sauer P365 for a long time, and I haven't really changed up my EDC in a long time. I carry it a lot of the time in a tier 1 concealed appendix holster with a blue Force Gear minimalist belt, or I carry it at 3:30, 4 o'clock with this We the People holster and a Core Essentials EDC belt. I love my Core Essentials belts. But I'm starting to have second thoughts about this gun specifically as my carry gun. And it has nothing to do with the reliability or the quality of the firearm. This gun has been perfectly reliable since the day I bought it. So why do I want to change it up? So I did miss a few shots in that first shooting clip. Yeah, I'm starting from cold, but it kind of proves my point. I don't think I would have missed those shots with one of my bigger pistols. A little better. This is my thought process. I want to feel confident with the pistol that I carry. Some of my pistols, especially like those two, this one, I feel very confident with those guns at the range. I feel like I could shoot them fairly quickly and hit the target just about every time. And I feel like, especially with the 1911 style guns, that I can shoot pretty accurately from a decent distance, at least as far as, pistol distances are concerned. And I don't really feel that way with the P365. I feel like in order to be accurate with it, I have to really take my time and be very deliberate with my shots. And for something that you're carrying, you're not going to have time, if you ever need to use it in a defensive situation, to be deliberate with your shots. Now, realistically, in a carry type defensive situation, it's probably going to be at a very close distance anyway, so maybe that won't matter. But I do feel like it is important to be confident with the gun that you carry every day. And I do carry this every day. Now, most of my other guns, as you can see, I've modified, customized, made them exactly the way I want them. Whereas this P365, the only thing I've done to it is I switched out the original grip module for the Wilson Combat Grip module. And that has made a lot of difference. It fills out your hand just a little bit better, gives you a little more grip on it. It's got a little bit more of an extended beaver tail, and just that little modification by itself makes me more confident with this gun, especially being as small as it is. The original grip module just feels tiny in your hand. But even with the Wilson Combat one, this is a very small gun. Now, when I purchased it, that was the point. I felt like I wanted the smallest thing possible to be able to conceal it really well so that I could carry it every day comfortably and not worry about printing. Well, mission accomplished. There is like nothing as small as the P365 that I would trust. I haven't switched up my EDC for a few reasons in a long time. For one, this pistol is very reliable. For two, what I would switch it up to is like a P365 XL, and you can put longer magazines in the standard 365. That's a 12-round magazine, which is the standard capacity for the XL, and this is actually a 15-round magazine. So you can have that bigger capacity and bigger grip if you want to. But this one also isn't optics ready, and it's got the proprietary SIG rail, and I would like to be able to carry an optic and a light on my EDC because I put optics and lights on all the rest of my handguns. So when it comes to concealed carry, this thing is about ideal. But what I'm finding is that I want to be able to carry a gun that I feel really confident shooting. And I don't feel super confident with this when compared with my other handguns. When I finished building this rifle out, that was the Dream Rifle build series. In the last episode of it, I talked about what the next build series might be. And one of the options that I brought up was a P365 build series because what I think I want to do is build out a P365 XL. And one of the great things about the SIG P365, I think I have to do this off camera to not violate YouTube's community guidelines or whatever. You can literally take out the fire control unit. That's the serialized portion. That's what's considered the firearm, the gun. And that's why you can switch out things like grip modules. You can switch out slides and barrels, recoil assemblies, anything you want really, and make it into anything you want just by owning one FCU or fire control unit. And so I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And I think that I'm going to do that. I want to get some of you guys' input and opinions possibly on what you think because there are so many options out there now. Initially, what I thought I would do is get the Wilson Combat P365 XL grip module. So that one uses a 12-round standard magazine instead of a 10-round like the regular P365 does. But again, I could put a 12-round magazine in this pistol and it basically has that same grip module at that point. Yeah, when you do mag changes, it's not a flush mag, but it gives me almost the same effect. So is that really worth doing? And how much is that going to change the shootability of the gun itself? Because when I'm at the range, I generally use the 12 and the 15-round magazines, and I don't really feel like it's a different gun. I have noticed that if I slow down and pay attention, I hit the target almost every time. If I try to rush myself, that's when I miss. But again, with something like my Springfield Prodigy, the 2011, I can go as fast as I want and rarely ever miss. What I also want to be able to do is I want to be able to put an optic and a light on it. And now, I did have a light on my original grip module here. And it's a decent little light, not a whole lot of lumens. And this light actually came with a holster that fits the gun and the light. Unfortunately, it's not my favorite holster. And Tier 1 Concealed does not make a holster to fit that light. That's why I'm not using it anymore. Nothing against the light itself, but I think I want to get an optics ready slide so that I could put, really what I want to do is put this 407K on this gun and put a Holosun EPS on my M&P 2.0. EPS being more of a full-size enclosed emitter optic for the full-size gun, and use the EDC size optic on my EDC gun. Well, of course, I bought, the standard basic P365 that's not optics ready. I do want to be able to put an optic and a light on this. Now, of course, that opens up new issues where all these holsters that I spent a bunch of money on won't run a 365 XL. Now, I could get the X series slide and still use this holster. But again, the gun would probably shoot exactly the same way that it does now. So what's the point? I was recently at my local gun store, Guffey's Gun and Pawn. Big shout out always to those guys. And I was looking at my options, and the P365 XL is almost the same size as the X Macro. The X Macro is the same size slide, but just slightly longer grip, and you get 17 round capacity compared to 12. I don't know what kind of weird space magic makes that happen, because it looks like it's only long enough to add an extra 2 rounds, but you get 5 more somehow. But SIG is kind of the innovators of fitting a lot of rounds in a small gun. Now, the X Macro, I wouldn't really consider it a micro compact like the P365, the original one is, although it is still just as thin, and that's kind of the most important part when carrying it. The Wilson Combat Grip Module does make a big difference just in how this gun feels in your hand, but they also make a Wilson Combat Grip Module for the 365 XL. So maybe it's time to start that next build series. But besides the width of it, the other important part when carrying it is the size of the grip. And the X Macro is significantly longer than the regular P365 that I normally carry. Now, if I'm carrying this strong side, that is kind of what matters and what will print. When I'm carrying appendix, that stops mattering. I can carry a bigger grip appendix, and a longer slide is actually probably better carrying appendix. As you can see with this holster, it would have accommodated a longer slide and not been any bigger, the holster itself. So, if I have to get a new holster, I have to get a new holster. And the thing about building it out and keeping the fire control unit that I've currently got is that then if I want to, for summertime deep concealment carry, I could put it back in this configuration and still carry it in this holster or this one. But I want to know what you guys think, because I don't really have experience shooting the P365 XL or the X Macro. Now, I have seen things on the internet, I've watched YouTube videos, and people do seem to think that they are much more shootable guns than this little tiny original P365. And then we have the other option of the X Macro or the X Macro Comp, where you can get the XL size slide, but keep the same size barrel and have the comped slide, or not. Obviously, it costs more to have that comped slide than a standard one with I think it's a 3.7 inch barrel instead of 3.1. And I'd love to know what you guys' opinions are on that if you have experience with either one as well. Is it worth getting the comped slide and paying more for it or not? As you can see, I've got a lot of questions that I'm hoping to get answers to. I took this pistol out to the range today and shot it a bunch just to make sure that I wasn't crazy. And I wasn't really. I could hit the target if I really spent, focused on it and took my time to make those hits. But at greater distances or trying to shoot faster, I did have a little bit of trouble getting on target. And I want to feel confident with my carry pistol. I think that it's really important to have confidence in the gun that you carry every day. To know that if you have to defend your life with it, that you're going to be able to do that proficiently. When I was at my local gun store the other day, I was looking at the P365 XL and the X Macro, which I don't believe Wilson Combat makes a grip module, for the X Macro yet, unfortunately, because I really do like the way their grip modules feel, and I kind of do want to have a Wilson Combat grip module, which makes me lean a little bit more towards the XL. Even though you do get 5 less rounds in a flush magazine, that little bit smaller grip will conceal better strong side, and it's still bigger than this one. Kind of fills out my hand a little bit better. But as I'm talking to the guy behind the counter, one of the customers there gets my attention and tells me that he has a P365 XL grip module, the Compt X Macro slide with a 3.1-inch barrel, the recoil system, and 2 12-round flush magazines, and that he's willing to sell all that for $300. That's everything that you need except for the fire control unit, which I already have. So for $300, I could literally change up my EDC to what I think is exactly what I want. And so that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. Unfortunately, I am going on vacation right now. As you guys see this video, I will be on that trip. I'm leaving tomorrow at the time of recording this. So I'm hoping that he still has all that by the time I get back in 2 weeks. We will see. I'm also open to considering possible other guns for my carry gun, but I do want to keep something as a carry-sized gun, but just something a little bit bigger than this P365, something a little bit more shootable, something that I will want to shoot more at the range because I enjoy shooting it more because I'm getting more hits like I do with something like this. But I'm not really ready to carry something as big as a 2011 every day. So I want to know what you guys think. Let me know what you carry and tell me how you feel about it. Do you feel confident with your carry gun? And if you do, I would love to know what it is. And if you have experience with the regular P365, the XL, or the X Macro, let me know if it really will make a big difference if I do change this up to a bigger size P365, or if I'm just wasting my time and money. I really do appreciate you guys' comments, and I can learn from you guys as much as you can learn from me. So help me out if you can. I would really appreciate that. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up, share it with anybody that's having second thoughts about their EDC maybe. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.